Hey, what's up, everybody? Good afternoon. Monday. Other day. Monday, the 23rd. Reminds me I need to message or call a friend of mine. They're going to be turning pretty old. Um, yeah, I don't think she'd like me to say her age. Anyways, had an interesting weekend. I had planned out to be very active. Uh, I think it was maybe Thursday that my ex messaged me, and that was out of the blue. I did not expect it. I had blocked her, but then if I block her, I know her contact information is on my, the block list, and I could easily just go there and unblock her. So usually, what I used to do is I would block her, some time would pass, and then I would get this odd feeling of wanting to talk to her not because I really wanted to. Kind of like the vaping, the nicotine shit. It's like you miss it because your mind is lying to you, telling you that, oh, remember how good it felt, how good it tasted, and then you're all like, oh, relaxed and I'm happy and I'm just sucking away on this piece of shit, and you're like blocking out the reality of how it gives you a headache, can't do anything else because you constantly want to be sucking on that thing. I mean, it's like the worst. It drains your energy, drains my fucking energy, and then you're just in constant regret. You're like, why did I do this? I need to throw this piece of shit away. I need to never do this ever again. And after some time of not doing that, you kind of feel like, oh, you remember how good it was? And you have to like snap yourself out of that so you can remember. Actually, no, it's fucking shitty. And I would go through the same thing with blocking my ex, telling her it's over, telling her to leave. And then a month or so would pass, and I would, for whatever stupid ass reason, think like, oh man, if she was here, we could watch this. We could do this. And then the reality would hit, and it's just shit. Nothing would get done. As I've said before, it's not that she's a bad person. She just, it's me, obviously, right? It's me. I am very particular with who I want to be with, and it seems to be no one. I don't want to be with anyone. Okay, so silly ass long story short, or shorter, it's already long. Uh, I ended up unblocking her. That way, if I ever had that stupid urge to contact her again, I, I wouldn't have the option of just unblocking her because I had deleted her phone number. I didn't have it saved anywhere, not on any block list or anything, but she tested it out. This last Thursday, she tested it out and just randomly sent me some stupid little comedic video. I didn't even watch it, as a way of testing whether she's blocked or not. And I didn't see it till like Friday or something. And that stupid demon controlling me like an avatar, more than likely. Some reptilian shit. Pretty much said, "This is great. Let's invite her over." And I immediately regretted it. And this was Thursday morning where I was feeling like, I don't want her to come. This is a bad idea. And this has happened to me several times where I will get that feeling like, oh, come over. And then after just a few minutes of talking to her and hearing all the stupid shit she has to talk about, which I mean, good for her, but I'm so bored of her conversation. She never says anything that I would want to hear or talk about or I'm interested in. Nothing. Nothing. Maybe like 5% of the time there's something in there, but that's just 5% of the time. So, like over a year ago when we were starting to date, um we would talk a lot, like for hours and hours and shit, trying to get to know each other. Um it was pretty boring. So what her tactic to win me over, like the bait, I guess, was she would just let me talk, which I'm not a fan of either because I really don't want to be anybody's fucking radio unless it's being published as a podcast where, there's potential of it becoming something more or I don't know, even being monetized. But I've had other relationships where I've dated women that had nothing to say and they ended up just making me feel lonely. Like I was with a person and I felt alone. So I'm not, I don't want that extreme either. And I don't mind someone that is very opinionated, except I, you know, I'd rather an intelligent conversation than stuff I'm not interested in. Like she's an amateur chef. That's her hobby. That's her passion. And that's great. It's just that she's not a health food chef, you know. She's all about what shit tastes like. Me, I honestly don't give a fuck what stuff tastes like. I don't care if it's so good when you do it like this, when you add this to it. It's like I don't care. Is it healthy for me? It's not. I don't fucking want it. That's it. So she was about to come in the morning, and I'm trying to find a way to just say, actually, you know what? It's a bad idea. Don't come over. And I've done that many times before, which sounds like a shitty asshole thing to do, and I would not disagree. I hate having that Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing going on in my head where on impulse, yeah, let's do that. Then in retrospect, once you've had time to actually think about what you just said, and you're like, actually, no. Buyer's remorse. So I tried to be a little unreasonable, but in a reasonable way. I'm like, I'm never on my phone, which is true. I'm never on my phone. I think if you want to talk to me, call me. If I have something to say, I'll call or I'll text. Um, but I usually don't. I'll let somebody else do it, and if they don't, then whatever. And usually my phone is on ringer off. I hate the sound. I don't want to hear the fucking phone. I mean, I'm not gonna lose my shit if I fucking hear a phone ringing or anything like that. It's just that I kind of feel like since it has um, the option to vibrate when somebody's calling you or messages you, Like that's been good enough for me for years. Um, but obviously, if somebody is calling me and thing is, and I'm not like right next to the phone, I'll miss it. I'll usually see it, obviously, a little later, and then I'll message or call back. That's just what works for me. I like not being like everybody else. I feel pity and sadness for other people when I see videos of and in person when I see other people just sort of walking with their cell phones in their hands. They're like giving themselves premature humpbacks because they're just staring down at the motherfucking screen like it's dictating their lives, and it's just so addicting that they can't remove themselves from gazing at that fucking screen. I can kind of relate. When I was a kid, I watched television all the fucking time. And I know that maybe like 10, 11 years ago, when like the smartphones were becoming like huge, and I had like my first iPhone, and I thought, oh, this is awesome. You know, had a stupid game on there, like everybody, Angry Birds, and what the fuck else? I can't even remember. Probably no. I was gonna say Candy Crush, but no, I don't think I did. I played it a little bit, but not on the iPhone. And Facebook was huge. Everybody had to have one. This is the new toy that will unite all of us. And you got to add everyone you've ever met. Even people you haven't seen for years, just so you can see how they changed and what their lives are like now. This is the stupidest fucking thing. I wasn't on the whole social media train for that long. I think I did it hardcore, like every other zombie out there now that's fully indoctrinated into the normalization of social media as a way of life from now on, and everyone should do it too. Um, I did it pretty hardcore for like a year, like 10 years ago, where I was like constantly an egomaniac taking pictures of myself working out and posting them on there and getting a dopamine hit every time I got likes or comments. I'm like, oh, you look so great. I'm like, I don't even care about some of these people's opinions, and it still had like a nice feeling. It was an addictive feeling, and it's like it's shitty. It's shitty to care about something so much that actually doesn't matter. It's stupid, and it's a waste of time and energy. That didn't last too long, just because I I met my daughter's mom, and that took all my attention afterwards. But then it did sort of give me like time to sort of see that this social media shit isn't actually a good thing. I can already hear the stupid arguments that anybody would get for making that statement that it brings us closer. We already had phones, man. We already had phones that could text. We already had phones that could text pictures and videos. We never fucking needed Facebook. And by the way, the original Facebook was called MySpace. That was good enough. I'm not saying that MySpace is any better, but there was, I don't know, it felt different. MySpace felt like it really was my space. I got to decorate that motherfucker with the music I wanted, the pictures I wanted. I mean, it really was my space. It was actually better than Facebook. And then everybody started saying like, "Oh, Facebook is so great." And I remember when I first went on there and stuff, I thought, "This is shitty as fuck." There was literally nothing about Facebook that made me think this is better than MySpace. Nothing. Honestly. I mean, it felt like and see, I recently heard a podcast about how um, universities and college textbooks are chosen by default, right? Like two people do a ton of research and they publish their findings in a book that even if they pay themselves nothing just to pay the costs of the book, they would have to sell each copy at $50. And the universities are getting offers from other companies that are publishing other types of material instead of the truth, but they're already super rich because more than likely they're connected to the evil satanic government. And so they're getting the books sold to them at like $5 a copy. You can already see how information can easily be manipulated by default. Like, okay, we want a book on this topic. Who should we get it from? The guys that are selling us their book at $5 a piece, or the guys that are selling their book at $50? Pretty easy if you just look at the numbers and ignore the quality. Now, how is that possible, right? How is it that this group over here with the $5 book gets away with selling that thing at $5 a copy when it's costing them way more than that to print them out? Or maybe there's such a big, rich company that they own the publishing company and therefore can get that deal. Or maybe they have so much influence that they're not just selling their book to one school, but so many, pretty much all of them, that they can afford to sell them at $5 a copy. I don't know, but logically speaking, I think that's the only way that's possible. So here's a company that has so much fucking money, all the money in the world, so much influence, so much control. They really don't want motherfucking competition when it comes to the information that's being taught these idiots now, today, the Gen Zers. Why? Do they really know best? I think you know why. Because there's no fucking way that anybody should ever believe anything that a proven liar has to say. People change, sure, but not governments. There might be different people there or different mascots, different faces, but there's faces you don't see, and I don't think those change. Anyways, let me get off of that. I've been staring at this fucking little bullet point for a while now, and I always skip it. But I'll get it now. Why not? The bullet point just says, "I'm too emotional." Yes, I can't see beautiful things in a movie. If you've ever seen a movie and you get to that part where something is so fucking noble and beautiful and yet tragic and sad, and it hits you with that fucking music, and you combine all of that, and it's just like it brings tears to your eyes, and you're like, why? Why am I doing this? This isn't even real. What is going on? And it really pisses me off because it makes me think, like, am I emotionally damaged? Am I just crazy? Why do I cry so easily? And I don't cry like but I do tear up. And when I'm by myself, I don't think that's a big deal. It's like, whatever. I'm human. I feel whatever. But it will piss me off. It'll fucking bother me when that happens, if I have like my daughter around or a friend. It's like, it's embarrassing because it does look like someone's emotionally unstable. um I heard, maybe it was a week ago, I can't remember, some actors that were talking in an interview, and then it popped up out of nowhere. One said that they were really emotional. Wait, it was that one really gorgeous lady from True Blood. She was also in the Netflix Daredevil show. Fuck is her name? Anyway, she's just beautiful, gorgeous lady. I think she said that when she realized that she was that emotional, that acting was just the perfect job for her. And it made me consider, like, fuck, ever since I was a kid, I wanted to try that. But, they didn't offer that where I lived, like nowhere close. I would have to drive hours away. And if they offered it anywhere near where I lived, it wasn't in the same city. Maybe it was the same county. It was a fucking secret. You had to have gone to the right school. But where I went, none of that. You told anybody, hey, I want to be an actor. I lived in a Mexican community. They would have just looked at you like, you're stupid. you know, Nobody, including my parents, were supportive of that dream I had, which is fine. I mean, now that I realize that they're all just fucking Freemason, child pederast perverts, Satanists, I don't think I would have had a good time. I think I would have ended up a very different person, more than likely on drugs or something like that. Who knows, right? Because I think there is a Hollywood mafia, and I think that they are satanic. You might not want to believe that because you wholeheartedly want to make it happen in Hollywood. You go there with high hopes. You try out for everything, but slowly but surely you start to realize that the people that are controlling that motherfucking environment, they're kind of sick and twisted, and they kind of want you not to be in order to mold you to be that. It's the weirdest goddamn thing. Because if you're already tainted and fucked up in the head and you go there, they might like you, but they're not going to help you. They're not going to turn you into something. So you actually have to be, I don't know, have to have a genuine heart. There's something weird about that, but I kind of get it. I've known a lot of people that like dating what you might consider goody two shoes. um, good people in order to do rebellious things with them. How do I explain that? Okay, let's say one of these motherfuckers wants to do drugs with someone, but they don't want to do drugs with someone like themselves that's already used to doing drugs. They want to do drugs with somebody that's just discovering it for the first time because they get off on that. Maybe that's control. More than likely it is. Well, whatever. Fuck Hollywood. Fuck him right in the ear. Thanks, Trey Parker. I actually once wanted to ask a therapist about that because I've had several therapists. Let's say let's just throw out a fucking number like seven. Maybe it's five. I don't know, 5 or 7. Real fucking genius Chinese lady, and she was the best one. And she was my last one, and I felt like I was at a really low point in my life, so I wanted to be 100% honest with her, and I didn't hold anything back. And I guess she knew it. I guess you can feel sincerity when you're not holding back because she seemed to genuinely like me. This is the only time in my life that a therapist actually let me talk longer than the hour. I think it went over two, a little over 2 hours, because she wanted to hear my story. I mean, I don't know if that's just like hearing a good soap opera and you're like, oh, I want to know what happens next. I don't know, but she seemed genuine as well. And I still remember her advice about, don't rush a relationship. You really have to know a person's seasons, and that usually takes about 2 years. People change with the seasons, and you won't really recognize it the first time around as much. So you have to sort of correlate. And I get it, and it's true. You never really stop getting to know somebody. So if you make the stupid mistake of thinking that, well, I've known them for a month, so I know them fully. That's who they are from now on. That that part of themselves that they decided to show me, that's who they are entirely, not just a side to themselves, which obviously is stupid, especially since people change. And yet, that's what people do all the time. They're like, I know them. I know they wouldn't cheat because I know. I have a friend who. I'm so glad I don't share my podcast with my friends. I have a friend who has cheated on his girlfriend. In fact, I was there when he went into a brothel to fuck some other lady, and I've met his girlfriend. Now, that happened some years ago, so I don't know. Maybe the guy has changed now. Who knows? Who knows? Um, I'm not gonna scold him. I didn't reward him. I didn't congratulate him or anything. But in fact, I also said to him, like, she could be doing the exact same thing to you, right? Because it's far easier for women to cheat, especially in today's society where I swear to God that I haven't heard it said directly, but pretty much, hey, ladies, if you cheat, that's great. You're amazing. You should cheat. But if they cheat on you, they deserve death. I don't think I've heard it said like that, but basically. Um, so yeah, I mean, how hard would it be for his girlfriend to just get on the fucking Tinder app, which she wouldn't even need, right? She'd just get on a fucking Telegram or WhatsApp or just call one of her exes and just be like, "Hey, I want to see you. Let's meet up over here at this hotel." Bam, that's it. That's it. She could have a burner phone. I don't know. She could have her friends cover for her. I mean, it would be so much easier. And asked him this question to at least hear him, admit that yes, it's possible because it is possible. And he couldn't even do that. He's like, "No, bro, I know my girl. She would never cheat on me." I'm just thinking like I'm looking at myself when I was younger and I was stupid and I would cheat and I would feel like, no, no, my girlfriend that I cheat on, she would never cheat on me. It's so stupid. It wasn't until I finally matured and I stopped cheating, I got over that stupid shit, that I would notice when a girlfriend does cheat. And it's like, it opened my eyes. It made me realize, made me think back when I was younger and I was so sure that a girlfriend wasn't cheating on me, made me rethink, like, but was it possible? And if you say yes, more than likely it was happening. You just didn't know about it because you were blinding yourself with the mentality of it's not possible, bro. But yeah, I'm just being salty. I'm sure my friend who cheats on his girlfriend's probably not doing the same thing to him. Why not? Uh, Something interesting. So I have the Nag Hammadi book. I think it's the library book, not from the library, but it's like a collection. It's like the Bible. It's a collection, a library of books. The Nag Hammadi is pretty much like the Bible. It's the Gnostic Christianity books that were decanonized, right? Because if they are canon in the Ethiopian Bible, that kind of tells me that at one point they were canon, and Gnostic Christianity claims to have been the original Christians, right? Because they have Jesus in there as well. It's pretty much the Bible with some extra stuff. It's the unedited version of the Bible. So if you think that the Bible is not edited, if you think that the Romans, the Greeks, the Latins, whoever the fuck that was, which honestly I don't think the Latins existed. I think it was a made up bullshit language by by the elites at the time trying to control information so they could pass information between themselves. And then of course the King James Bible. Research King James for a while. You're gonna find out that he wasn't the most perfect angel. You're gonna see some weird things that'll make you consider, like, I think that motherfucker would have changed some stuff. I don't know. I don't ever want to feel a little too sure about something without going out of my way, checking it out, confirming it. And even then, I want to keep an open mind enough to consider why someone might lie about this. The Nag Hammadi, I saw some videos on it, even though I haven't I haven't read the entire thing. I know there's a Sophia in there, the Archons, the Demiurge, Jesus is in there. And I saw some summary videos on YouTube, which were pretty fucking good. Although the guy was trying to be funny, I think that the subject matter is pretty important. I mean, I know he was being funny in a way that at the same time was kind of sort of amplifying the message of how evil the demiurge is. It 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 finally filled in a hole for me when it comes to like how Peter died. So Peter died. He was crucified upside down, and that's not in the Bible. That's world history. And but why? How? You know. So in the Nag Hammadi, the Gnostic books, it states that Peter was kind of a bad guy. He was possessed by an archon. An archon, to me, again, I haven't read it yet, but I'm pretty fucking sure. An archon is a type of reptilian type. I think he is a fallen angel, which is a watcher. And from the book of Enoch, the watchers are locked away. They're not dead. It was the giants that were destroyed. And even they kind of remain as hungry ghosts, which to me means parasites, because that's a parasite. It just wants to eat. That's a hungry ghost. And the hungry ghost, it says, can possess you. Parasites can possess you and control you, right, through your neurons. Your neurons are in your brain, in your intestine, and in your heart. And that's where the fuck they go to. I'm not saying that's the only three areas that you can find them in. Obviously, there's your eyes. God, it's so fucking sick. I hate parasites. I still don't know how to 100% kill them because they're like the Terminator. You think, no, no, no. Hydra. They're like a motherfucking Hydra. Think you killed them, but from a tiny piece of their body, another one of themselves can grow, can fucking, you'll have more of them. I think parasites are the real Hydra, which is why when parasites get really big and they're like sticking out of a orifice, like the ear or some shit, and then you go to the doctor, a smart fucking doctor, not a piece of shit doctor, will not, just sort of try and like force it out. They'll know that if they do it that way, more than likely what's going to happen is not that they're going to just fully come out and ta-da. No, it'll you'll probably rip one of its the what is snake worm anatomy? Its tail, I guess, and it'll fucking just get away. So it's a lot harder to get those fucking things out of there. And you really have to know what kind of foods to eat just to avoid motherfucking parasites. I hate those sons of bitches so much. I think that the parasites work like some kind of Wi-Fi for the watchers. I think it's so interesting that so many people, when they have these little DMT trips and they look in the mirror, what do they see? A reptile. And most people that aren't savvy in the Gnostic traditions, will identify as the reptile and not as a fucking thing that is possessing me from somewhere else, Avatar style. Now, even though I said Avatar, I don't think it's exactly like the motherfucking movie. We're not like some kind of clone. I think I don't know. Maybe it is like fucking Tom Cruise's Scientology, where our souls are. What the fuck was it? Trey Parker said it in South Park. Of course, he said his version of it. I've never read a Scientology book, so I'm not gonna like 100% be like Trey Parker told us the truth. Like I don't know that. Um, some aliens were, I want to call them aliens. Some ETs were killed, thrown in a volcano, died. Their souls got captured. I believe that's a possibility. Why not? It's all energy. So couldn't you store energy? Yeah, you can store energy. So why not somebody's soul or whatever? Um, and then they were reprogrammed, which is oddly familiar as to what's happening to the human species, all being programmed. It was really interesting to see that the Gnostic Christian belief is that the demiurge, Yaldabaoth, Yaldabao, I can't fucking remember. He's a giant snake with the head of a lion. Yaldabao, the demiurge, whatever. The big giant reptilian. And it says that's the god of the physical world. Now, if you remember Genesis, where it says that he was going to make man in his image, if he's a big giant snake, why would he make humans? Don't you think it would be more realistic that he would make something more similar to itself, like reptilians? And even before I found out about, you know, reptilians, because I remember, I mean, the first time I saw anything to do with reptilians, I was a kid. I saw that mini series, V. Robert England was in there. I just thought it was the coolest shit ever. But, I was a kid and that was on TV. I thought, okay, that's fake. Or, like most people, I'm going to think, like, oh, those are aliens, not just other people that live in this area as well. Other people, I should say, not just different kind of people. Then, when I was a lot older, living on my own, and a friend of mine from high school told me about reptilians, and I just thought she was fucking stupid. I thought, what the fuck is. I didn't say any of this, of course, but I just thought, like, what? I think I literally asked her, like, what kind of drugs have you been doing, or something like that. I didn't believe it. I just thought this is bullshit. And I think she had mentioned David Icke. And I didn't know. I didn't care. And then it wasn't until like four, no, yeah, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago that I read a David Icke book, and this was right after I had just gotten done drawing a couple of the images from the Bible that were in my head that stood out to me, like from Genesis and Exodus and stuff like that. And I always drew God's hand like a reptilian, with scales and claws. And this came from sort of logicking it out to myself in my head about um, Eve getting tempted by the snake. And the snake is obviously not a regular snake, since when God finds out what happened, he punishes the snake by removing its arms and legs. So that's a reptilian. If it's talking to a human and it had arms and legs, what the fuck is that? Anyway, so that's just what's on the Bible. What it doesn't fucking tell you, this is my opinion, of course, is that Adam and Eve look like each other. Of course, Eve came from Adam. They look like each other. Now, it does say that God made them in his image. Now, if God is the demiurge, a giant reptile snake with the head of a lion, they would have to look reptilian. And then I also thought to myself, but no, I didn't know about the demiurge at the time 5 years ago. I just thought to myself that if this reptilian came up to Eve and she was cool with it, she didn't freak out like holy shit, there's another thing similar to us but really different. She didn't freak out. They even had a conversation. I kind of felt like that's only going to happen if they actually look alike. Which, I mean, you can look at your own skin and sort of, if you look closely at your pores, and it's not too different, not a giant leap. And then if you believe in evolution, you could go that, okay, so fish have scales. Fish climbs out of the dirt and it develops what? Reptilian skin, right? A different kind of scales. Go up a little higher where it gets colder, you grow hair. The scales protrude outward and become hair. You go a lot higher and the hair develops into feathers. Maybe. I don't know. I think there is some truth in evolution, but then there is some truth in that Charles Darwin was a fucking Freemason, and the Freemasons are not fans of the Bible. They're fans of, well, something else. Obviously, the Gnostic Christianity books have some stuff that would be considered blasphemous. It says that God is a villain, you know, the demiurge, also known as Jehovah, is the son of Sophia, who is the daughter of the actual God, the unknowable God. So whenever you think of the good God, you're thinking of Sophia's father. I guess this is a normal thing for all living creatures. I guess for most of us, unless you went through some trauma or whatever that kind of altered your natural desire to replicate. So this unknowable God made Sophia. Then Sophia wanted to do the same thing, and she made the demiurge. It was a mistake. She fucked up. Her father forgave her. She sounds like a spoiled rich girl. Fucked up. Daddy's okay with it, but she never fixed it. We're still in this. Uh, I'm sure there's a ton of reasons for that, right? We can speculate all day long that, well, might as well see it through. Let's give them a challenge. Free will. So I get it. I'm not gonna shit on them. I mean, I wish there was a different way. But at the end, in the end, I mean it makes sense to me. People have to be challenged. If there is no option and you just tell them what to do, then there's no point in free will, which is what the government, right, the control of minds, want to achieve. They don't want people to even believe that they have free will, but you do. Everything's a choice. So I found out a ton of stuff from the Gnostic Christianity books, but the one that was like, okay, was Peter's crucifixion upside down. Apparently, it was his decision. Apparently, the guy was possessed by an archon, and he was dumb as a rock. And he said he can do the same thing that Jesus did, and he'll prove it by being crucified, and he'll resurrect 3 days later. Uh, he didn't resurrect, but it does change one thing. I mean, many things, but you know, almost everything else that it changes, it's not that it changed it, it's more that it revealed more information that alters the information given in the Bible. One thing that was changed, and it's not from the Bible because this is, I think, world history. Okay, the death of Paul. So, the death of Paul, according to world history, is that Nero, Roman Emperor Nero, had him decapitated. But that's not in the Bible, right? In the Bible, it pretty much ends with him still in jail, prison, awaiting to be sentenced, I guess, or saved. And then world history says, yeah, well, that didn't happen, but it wouldn't be all that fucking hard for world history to be manipulated. I mean, you see the shit happening in real time now. Information is constantly being manipulated, changed, altered, completely fabricated or erased. So in the Gnostics stuff, it says that Paul and Peter got into a fight, and Paul died in that altercation. He was struck by lightning and he died. So I thought, like, that's pretty interesting because like many people, I believed in the information I was originally given that he had his head cut off. So I'm pretty excited to read the Nag Hammadi actually and understand it at a higher level, beyond just watching somebody's summary. Seeing that fucking thing of the demiurge, it also reminded me of something that I saw hell like over 10 years ago. I saw a video of Alan Moore, the comic book writer of Watchmen, V for Vendetta, Miracle Man, uh, Swamp Thing, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, From Hell, Promethea, just a bunch of amazing, amazing stuff. He had himself a statue of a snake with the head of a lion. Now he said that this fucking thing is called Glycon. You know what the fuck Glycon actually means? Please let me know. Leave me a comment. He said that Glycon is his idol, that he made this god up for him to worship. So, what the fuck is that about? This is one of the people that I've admired for most of my life. When I heard that for the first time over 10 years ago, I thought, okay. So he invented a god knowing it's not real, only for the sole purpose of sort of concentrating his energies, for a lack of a better word. And I thought I kind of understood it, but now realizing that his god is the demiurge under a different name, now I feel like, what the fuck? You know? Is Alan Moore a bad guy? I mean, I can only imagine what Grant Morrison might say. Um, what I don't know is, did he do that knowingly? Knowing that this is the exact image of the demiurge Yaldabaoth? Or did it happen unknowingly? You know? Which, if it did, that would be really fucking interesting. And somebody needs to tell him that Glycon is not what he thinks it is. Uh, this might seem off topic, but it'll segue back. When I was a kid, I hated watching the news. Of course, it was all fucking doom and gloom, as I'm sure it still is. That's pretty much what it's meant to do, keep people afraid. And honestly, if you're a fucking good parent, if you love your children, don't let them watch the fucking news. But anyways, I didn't have parents that loved me, so I watched the news, and I saw something really interesting. This dude, news anchor, whatever, he was talking about, they've found some worms in Mars. And just in case you were an idiot, they had a stock photo ready to go of a picture of worms. Hold on. Okay, never mind. I was saying, I never forgot that, because I always thought, well, this is important. This is really fucking important. Why didn't they ever bring it up again? You would think something so significant would be brought up again. Never got brought up again, but I didn't forget it. As soon as I was 18, um, and old enough to have internet, thanks, parents, I went to work on researching all the shit that never made sense to me. Bermuda Triangle, Bigfoot, everything, just wanted to research everything. Had my own library, it felt, having a search engine to the internet for the first time. And one of the things I looked up were the worms of Mars. Now, whenever I did that, I would get, I would see, a ton of websites that basically had all the same stuff. They had black and white pictures of what looked like glass worms. So they were like petrified or frozen, and they were glass. And you could see that some of them had stuff inside. Excuse me. The website would claim that the little stuff that these glass worms had inside meant that they had been pregnant when they died or something. It was interesting stuff to look at. Not anything that couldn't be faked, though, but it was interesting to consider that, hey, maybe this is true. There were actual fucking worms in Mars. So I was incredibly fascinated, right? Because it makes your imagination run wild with the possibilities of life somewhere else and what they might look like. And then it went on to show you pictures of the face of Mars and the smiley face of Mars. I love that smiley face, which Alan Moore had, I guess, Dave Gibbons use as the cover of Watchmen. The face of Mars, man. Obviously, most people are stuck in the Matrix. Matrix. That means womb, right? In Spanish, it's matriz. And yeah, sounds exactly like that. Um, they would tell you that the face of Mars is actually just an illusion. It's just some mountains, and it looks like a face, but it's not. So it is a face. It's a giant. It's a motherfucking giant from the flood who died, I guess, and you can see his fucking face. Now, if you know that that is the motherfucking truth, because their method of debunking it is that no, no, it's not. I mean, sure, we can only look at it from top to bottom, and it's clearly a face, but we got other tech, and you know, we made a 3D image of it, and we can show you our animated bullshit computer graphic image that we created in our NASA Photoshop. That's evidence that it's not actually a face. Uh-huh. Sure, yeah. And India must have landed on the moon. Why not? Why not? I mean, they proved it by showing us some video game and saying that proves it. We're all supposed to go like, oh, of course. I think another way of knowing that that's a face is if you know that beyond our map, beyond the ice wall, what's out there? Mars. Huh. I need to look at that fucking map from Vibes of Cosmos, the Mars map. I need to look at it a little closely. Yeah, because what I want to see is where the face of Mars is on the official NASA Mars map, and then look at it on the Vibes of Cosmos map. Because I looked at that motherfucking video pretty damn well. I didn't see the fucking face. I saw something that looked like a hole, something that looked like a fucking eye, a bunch of little fucking craters that look like they could be housing areas like ours, and then Hella's chaos, Hella's sea, which look like it's just full of oil, petroleum, just sort of seeping out, or I have no fucking idea, honestly. But that map was insanely amazing, and I can't. I don't want to say who I believe is running our human society right now because it's one of the groups in society. And Roseanne recently said that she believes that it's about like 2,500 people, like the 1% of the 1% that are actually controlling all of our knowledge. And it's a group of people that always destroys stuff they don't want anybody else to have. And they're very rich and they control the black stuff, the goop. I think it's especially telling when you see that one of the oceans in the Mars of map, the map of Mars, is named after them. I think it was undeniable proof when Mind Unveiled on YouTube put out that video of the language that Jesus used to speak. Undeniable proof. And it is exactly what the fuck we see them doing all the time. They like reversing things. Like that's their thing, the negative, the opposite. That's how they trick us. All right, let me tell you. So, when I was 18, I went on these websites for the worms of Mars. I saw the glass worms. I saw the face of Mars. I saw that smiley face, and I thought to myself, if there was a worm or a snake society there, it would make sense that the monuments would be not standing up like our monuments, but more like on the ground. That's what I thought. But now it makes even more sense if you believe in the Bible, if you believe in the flood, which every culture around the known world believes in the flood. It's a real thing. Every culture around the world, around the known world, knows that giants were real. That face would be one of the people that got killed. Because even in our known world, you look at all the giant dead bodies, aka mountains, and they're all facing up with their mouth open, like they're trying, gasping for air. So when I looked at the smiley face, I never knew what it meant. Like we see a smiley face, but I still remember Scott McCloud's Understanding Comics, where he was explaining um, communication through drawings and how this goes all the way back through society, that we will sort of what's the word, we'll humanize things, like we'll see an electrical outlet and we'll see ourselves, we'll see two eyes and a mouth, or somebody takes off their shirt and you see two eyes and a mouth. So I thought that's probably what's going on. We see a smiley face, but what does it actually mean, you know Is this a warning? Keep out? I don't know. Okay, the final picture that I saw on this website when I was 18, and in a bunch of other websites, and if you searched it, this is the pictures. This is one of the pictures that would come up, but you can't find it anymore. That's what was really interesting and really telling about this picture, this next picture that I saw. This next picture that I saw was a dead animal, and it was a close up of its face. It looked like some kind of a reptilian dog. It looked snake, a dog, and it had something on its head that was part of its head, and it eerily looked exactly like a pharaoh's, whatever the fuck that thing that they wear on their head it's called. It looked just like that. Now, if you've ever seen a dead animal, you know the difference of what one looks like compared to somebody making something fake. There's something very different there. I think that there's something in us or in some of us where you can kind of recognize something that has been alive and something that wasn't alive, at least not in that shape, you know? Something that's been alive in that shape looks different than something that hasn't. It didn't look like I know that there's some like insanely realistic things in like House of Wax, but even they, as amazing as they look, if you're in front of those House of Wax figures, if you're right in front of it, I don't think you feel like it's something alive. I think you think, at least I would, that oh, it looks realistic, but you never fucking feel like that's a real person. So this thing looked like a dead animal, and it looked like something that had been alive. Its eyes were closed, tongue was out. Was it? No, no, but you could see its teeth, had sharp teeth. And that was the only shot. I mean, it didn't have other shots from different angles. And I had saved it at the time. I think this was an old computer, so like in a floppy disk. And I lost it. And when I tried to find that picture again, it was gone. It was nowhere to be found. Google fucking the worms of Mars, glass worms. I don't know, whatever. But whoever controls the internet won't let you fucking find that. I've tried, and I can't find it. So somebody just picked that picture and made it disappear. I would love to see that picture again. If anybody can fucking find it, please let me know. I would love to see that thing again because I think that was a special picture. I think whoever saw that picture was looking at a picture of a dead reptilian. Now, I'm not going to say that's the humanoid reptilian. I think that looked more like an animal that isn't supposed to exist. interesting. Um, I was looking at Mud Fossils University YouTube videos, and he had a petrified reptilian in one of his videos, two of them. One of the reptilians had that thing on their head, like some extra skin. And I thought about like what the fuck is that actually? I think it might be like how you might see some roosters, well all of them, I think, who have that loose piece of skin on top of their head. Like what the fuck is that for? I think it's to like some sort of a temperature control for their bodies, right? I think. I don't know. So that's probably what it was. Here's something interesting. Um, my ex, um, her family calls her like chata, which means flat, because the back of her head is flat. Can't tell because she's got a lot of hair, so you have to like, I don't know, move her hair or feel it, and then it's just so weird. It feels and it looks like somebody dropped her on her head when when her head was very soft, and it just solidified that way. Um, then I saw and heard some Chinese people saying that they have that it's common for Chinese people. And even though I'm white, I'm a mix, right? Because my father's white, my mother's brown. My father's from the Yaqui tribe. My mother's from the Hopi tribe. And I guess I take after my father because I look white. No Mexican would come up to me thinking that's a Mexican. And if you know anything about Mexico, well, actually, never mind. If you know anything about Mexico, you probably don't know anything really about Mexico because you only know what you've been taught and told. So we're taught that Mexicans are pretty much Mayans, maybe some Aztec, mainly Mayans, and Spaniards and the French mixed up in a blender, and ta-da, you got a Mexican. Interesting. But then if you actually go to Mexico and you see the people long enough, you'll start to get a different correlation. You're going to see Chinese people. So then they got an answer for that one too. Yeah, that's because, like 100 years ago or whatever, they brought over a lot of Chinese people to build the railroads, and, one thing led to another. Fuck off. Fuck off. Okay, so why are they the majority? Well, that's not true. Oh, okay. Fucking open your eyes and look around, and you're gonna see that they are. You're racist. Shut up. Okay, whatever. I'm a fucking racist. Um, it's just the truth, I'm not shitting on it. I'm just trying to expose it because the standard knowledge says something incorrect. To the point where I didn't even know why the fuck I look the way I look. But you know what? Other than being white, I have that a part of the back of my head is flat, and I think I had seen it like 10 or 11 years ago or longer. I don't know when I noticed it, like 10 years ago, something like that. But like I didn't like it because this was a surprise to me. So I just sort of looked away and I erased it from my memory. And it wasn't until just like recently that I'm like, that's a Chinese thing. Template of my face is Chinese, but I'm white, so you don't see it right away unless you take it into consideration, unless you're informed ahead of time, and then you look at me and then you're like, yeah, I see it now. The fucking flathead confirms it. But what the fuck does that mean? What does it mean? This is gonna sound racist, but fuck you. Were we made in a fucking factory? Like originally, Chinese people were made in a factory, and they were all squished up like sardines. And some of the models got like a squished area in the back of the head, and therefore, every one of the copies that came afterwards just sort of inherited that trait as well. I know that's just too bizarre. Couldn't be that. I don't know. I have no fucking idea. I would love to just get an idea of what is up with that, because it really just looks like we're dropped on our heads, in the back of the head. It's insane. It's crazy. I don't get it. I don't know what's up with that. And let me get to my final point and just wrap up this very long episode. In that um, video from Mud Fossils University on YouTube, where he's showing you the head of a petrified reptilian, you also see what looks to me to be a mummified reptilian. And it's kind of looking like it's dressed up as a samurai almost. And you get pictures of this thing from different angles from the side, and immediately I noticed that it had a flat head, like in the back of the head. Like there's a part in the back of its head, and it was flat, like the Chinese. And if any of you are stupid, woke, soft, extreme liberals who are not Chinese, but you feel like being offended for for someone else, let me just tell you that the Chinese, in their scriptures and their legends and myths, will tell you that they do come from the Nagas, which are reptilians, snakes, and dragons. Okay? And so, and it's not just the Chinese, the Tibetans will tell you the same thing. Their origins are that they came out of a mountain, but those people used to be Nagas and reptilians, and why not? I believe it. So it doesn't mean that they're bad people. At least I don't feel like a bad person. You know, I don't think I'm full Naga. And then I was thinking of that fucking word, like Naga. Is that maybe where the some other word that sounds similar to that came from? Not sure. A lot of shit to consider. And what are dragons if not just giant reptiles? I don't know, man. So much, so fucking much hidden information. Who can say? Who can be sure? Everything's a lie, everything's a secret. You really just have to develop your own sense of intuition, because if you ever want somebody to tell you the truth for free, it's not going to happen. You got to do your own digging. Go with what your heart tells you is true. Try to be open minded, but you know, always look into things, not just accept it at face value. This was that's just how I correlate shit. That's my opinion. I think I'm right, though. I must say. Um, okay, I've talked a lot. I forgot everything I said, so I'm not even sure how I'm going to title this episode. We'll see. Thank you very much for listening to another one of my episodes, Brave Traveler. I've been IR, and I'll see you next time. Have a good day.